If you think for 1 minute that you can't invest in yourself because you have no money, I need you to look at a penny. Because right now, you're treating yourself like a tarnished penny in the gutter, walked over, sticky, ignored. And the wild thing is, you can fix that with $0. Let me show you how. Most people would make you wait for 20 minutes for the answer, but I'm going to give it to you in the first minute because I'm not here to jerk you around. So here's the truth. There's no such thing as zero investment. Doing nothing is an investment. If you feel like you're going nowhere, ask yourself, how am I investing in nowhere? You work with what you have until you get what you want. That is the order of things. So what do you have? You have 1, your attention, 2, your creativity, 3, your own 2 hands. That's it. That is the answer. But here's the twist. And this is the one thing I want you to hold on to for the whole entire video. None of this multiplies until you understand one thing. I'm going to name it at the very end, so stay with me. Now I'm going to talk to you through 3 numbers: 0, 20, 100. And they're not 3 different lessons. They're the same 3 lessons at rising stakes. 0 teaches you to see. 20 teaches you to choose. And 100 teaches you to move. Same muscle, heavier weight, every tier. That's why a video about $0 climbs to 100. Because I'm not teaching you to spend, I am teaching you how to invest. And that skill is identical at every number. When you have $0 at the end of the month, you don't have a budget problem, you actually have a focus problem. 0 is a nothing. 0 means that all you have is you. And you're the most powerful asset in your life. Trust me, baby, you're gold, and gold never loses its value. If you're looking in the mirror wishing you were something else, that's not because you're worthless, because your perception is tarnished. And a tarnished perception is still gold underneath. We just have to shine it. So what do you do with $0? You have your attention. And we live in an attention economy. So let me show you how powerful that is. Energy flows where your attention goes. Money flows where your attention goes. So we're going to point yours back, right back at you. And this is how. Pick your number 1 best feature. And if you're thinking, I don't have one, bullshit. Everyone does. Pick something that you overlooked, but that someone else always comments on. I'm going to choose calves. Why calves? Because nobody thinks about them. And they're the engine that move you forward every single day. They pump your blood back into your heart every day, all day. And go study your calves. YouTube is free. The library is free. Learn how to style them. Are you hiding them under pants all the time? Are your hemlines cutting them at the worst spot? Learn how to care for them. You don't need a spa. All you need is some salt, a crock pot, some river box, and 10 minutes of your attention. And if that sounds ridiculous, I want you to ask yourself, why is that? Why does investing in your calves feel ridiculous? Say it out loud. What? Because they're soft, they're weak, they're tight, they're numb to your own pain? Like, what is it? How you show up in one area in your life is how you show up in every area of your life. If you're neglecting your best feature, you tell me how that's not showing up everywhere else in your life. Now, what just happened? Did you just make your calves look good? You touched your health? You exercised creativity? You had fun while you were doing it? You generated self-respect out of thin air? What? For $0? And here's the thing. I want you to tattoo it in the back of your brain. Problems are uncreative. Solutions are creative. Anybody can sit in the problem. It costs nothing. It builds nothing. It does nothing. You just choose the creative approach. That's the $0 ROI. Already you feel like a shiny penny. All right, now you have $20. And remember, this is still the asset you choose. Nobody assigned you those calves. You looked in the mirror and pointed. We're not starting somewhere new. We're going deeper in the same thing. At 0, you are working with infinite resources, your time, your attention. At 20, you're working with scarce capital. That changes everything because that $20 could be your gas money. It could be laundry money, grocery money, or your kids' lunch money. Where that $20 goes matters enormously because the second you decide to put it towards your calves, thrift store skirt, a month at the gym, every responsible head in your voice is going to scream at you to spend it on something sensible, like gas or groceries. Anybody but you. And that's the test. Can you choose yourself over the guilt? That is what putting money where your mouth is actually means. You're not buying a skirt. You're funding your own willingness to invest in yourself. When everything in you says to stay responsible and invisible. At 0, your creativity was divergent. What could I do? At 20, it turns convergent. What will I do with what I have? And that choice, the choice to spend on you, is the gumption generator. Gumption is a muscle. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, that muscle gets stronger. Because self-trust is not built by saying something pretty in the mirror while you're neglecting yourself. It's built by keeping promises to yourself. $20 forces a decision, and that decision gives you proof. Did you follow through? If you did, you now have evidence that you're a woman who shows up for herself. Now I need to tell you something. This was never about your calves. The calves was just a dumbbell. The dumbbell to build the muscle memory. And while you thought you were fixing your legs, you were investing across your whole entire life. You invested in your health because you noticed the pain, the tension, the weakness. You invested in your mind because you researched, you learned, you paid attention. You invested in fun because you played with your style and you let yourself enjoy it. You invested in connection because when your body feels better, you walk differently. You show up differently around people. And you invested in yourself because you chose to honor one part of you instead of ignoring all of you. And you thought you were working on one pair of calves. You were turning the real asset the whole time. You. You thought you chose your calves. But the calves were never really the choice. You were. You didn't become a woman with a nice feature. You became the woman who was willing to choose herself. And that is the invisible asset you're about to spend. Now you have $100 and you're not investing in yourself anymore. You're investing from yourself. The $100 is not for shoes. It's not for feeling safe in a savings account. The $100 is the pivot point where you stop being a consumer of self-help and become the producer of your own economy. So the question is, what is the one thing that you keep saying that you want to do and aren't doing? And how can this $100 be an investment in the person that you say you want to become? You want to be a creator? Buy the mic. A $100 mic turns your time into content. You want to be an entrepreneur? Buy one batch of raw materials and sell it for $150 and do it again. You want to pay off your debt? Put $100 toward your highest interest-bearing credit card. That's not spending, that's buying your freedom back. You're buying a lever, something that turns your time into money or a skill into a service. That's betting on the identity you just declared. In better words, that's you betting on you. And this is why I made you start at zero, even if you already have 100. Because money in the hands of a woman with no focus will scatter. Money in the hands of a woman who doesn't trust herself will just sit there and she will be afraid to move. And money in the hands of a woman who's never supported herself gets spent on everybody else and anything except on the future that she says she wants. You have to practice this before money. You begin before the money. The richest man in Babylon says, a part of all you earn is yours to keep. That is saving. The next line is, make thy gold multiply. That's investing. And remember that one thing I told you to hold on to? Here it is. Money multiplies whoever you already are. That's why saving first before you do the inner work is a trap. If you hoard money before you believe you're worth it, you just hit your ceiling every single time. Because you can't outsave your self-image that is a penny in the gutter. Wealth isn't what you keep, it's what you set in motion. And what you set in motion is you. So here's your challenge. And don't just nod and scroll. I can see you. What is your $0 move? What are you doing to polish? What is your $20 move? And how are you going to amplify it? Even when the responsible voice fights you back. And the big one, what's the thing you keep saying you want to do? And where are you going to put that $100 to bet on yourself? Drop it in the comments. Be specific. Is it your calves? Is it your mic? Is it your website, your ingredients? I want to hear it. Because honey, you were always gold. Now it's time to stop acting like a tarnished penny in the gutter and start spending your value so that it comes back to you tenfold. I'll see you in the next one where we break down why your savings account may be holding you hostage. Coaching from the heart, Diana.